In today's world, religion seems to be something that we all pretend to follow, a performance of faith that's been diluted down into a social activity. When I look around, I see a world built on religious institutions, beliefs, and practices, but I can't help but feeling like most of us don't actually live by them. Instead, religion often seems more like a club, a place to gather with people who validate our own worldview, and not a place to seriously explore or challenge our beliefs. Religion, as I see it, is supposed to bring us closer to our core values and a deeper understanding of ourselves and stuff. But in reality, it feels more like a safe space for people to affirm each other's opinion rather than a space to dig into the complexities of our faith. Now, many people say they're religious, but how many of them actually live by the teachings of their faith? How many people go to church or to a mosque or to a temple simply because it's expected of them, or because everyone they know does it? In my experience, very few people seem to actually authentically follow the essence of their religion. And if they try to do it, they often take it to an extreme, adopting a hardline interpretation that becomes more about control and division instead of love and compassion. It's as though some people have strayed far from the original teachings of their faith, and it becomes a social issue in itself, fostering division rather than understanding. Now, this brings me to something that really confuses me. How modern American Christianity, for example, seems to have more in common with radical forms of Islam than with the peaceful teachings of Jesus. Now, when I look at both groups, I see the same intense desire for their beliefs to dominate society, the same rigidity, the same tendency to separate themselves from everyone else. While they may appear on opposite sides of the culture or political spectrum, the irony is it seems like they share similar goals. Both sides seek to shape the world according to their interpretation of quote-unquote truth, often without considering that this drive for dominance doesn't really bring us closer to any faith, but drives us further away from it. Now imagine if these groups could recognize their common goal is complete domination of the world according to their beliefs. Just imagine that. Instead of fighting each other, they might actually realize that they could accomplish more if they just divided the world to rule in their own ways. Now, while this idea might sound absurd or even troubling, I think it illustrates just how far modern religion has drifted from its roots, no matter what it is. Religion was meant to unify people, to provide a path to a shared understanding. And yet here we are, with different groups fighting not for peace or unity, but for dominance of some sort. I often find myself feeling deeply uncomfortable in church these days, not because of the teachings themselves, but because of the people who surround me. It seems like everyone is pretending to be something they aren't, while trying to say they're not. And they're maintaining appearances for each other. Now, I used to go to church, because it was expected, because my boss and all my coworkers go there, and they seem content to keep up this facade. But I can't help but feel out of place, as though I have more in common with Jesus himself than with the people who claim to follow him. Jesus, as I understand him, reached out to those on the margins. He questioned power and authority and just didn't blindly follow them. He cared for those that other people turned away. But many churches today, they're far from that spirit. I think we all see it. They feel more like institutions designed to keep people in line with a social belief or a political belief rather than lift these people up. Now listen, religious in its truest form should be a force that brings people together, that helps us support one another on life's journey. It's supposed to be a place to connect us with our core values and encourage us to extend kindness, compassion, understanding to others. But instead, it feels like as if most of its organized religion has lost its way, becoming something that divides us rather than unites us. So when I think about what religion is today, I have to wonder if there's anything that remains of it to be true. Has everyone drifted so far from the original foundation of their faith that it's just simply gone mental? You know, in the end, I'm left with a question. What is the impact of a religion that drives people apart rather than brings them together? When faith becomes more about rules and rigid doctrines and political ideology than love and understanding, does it still hold any value at all? Now, American Christianity, it doesn't feel like true Christianity at all. And radical Islam really doesn't seem to reflect the heart of Islam. Ultimately, love is love no matter how you look at it. And if religion can't foster that love, then maybe it's time to rethink what we're really worshiping. I'm journalist Matt Pierce. This has been my take on religion. If you like what you hear, subscribe, comment, share, join in the conversation. Thank you a lot.